Good morning. Let's start again. I don't know where the gremlins came in there. It's always weird when you are on one. I was on the tablet there. I had to go over to the cell phone. I don't know what happened to the tablet. Bit of a problem. But good morning, Danica. I told everybody we're going to talk to a kindergarten teacher, but unfortunately that's not so. I don't want to demote you. You are a teacher, but you're currently working as an after-school teacher. Am I right?
Yes, that's true.
Tell me your experience, but in after school. What times do they start? What's happening there? But
Okay, so there's different hours. So we do mornings before school hours, and then we also do after school hours. So the morning starts at 7 o'clock, and then we take the children to the schools they are in. And the same for the afternoons. We collect them from the schools they are in, and then we run until 6 o'clock in the evenings.
so that's not for the parents that really needs to get stuck in traffic and they drop their little kids off there at you guys and you see that they get to school.
Yeah, we make
Do
sure
they
they
get
get there on time.
okay? Do the kids get food and stuff or not?
Yes, so in the mornings it's optional, so you can either send them their own breakfast or there's always breakfast on hand. It just depends on which package you choose. In the afternoons, they get afternoon tea, so that usually consists out of fruit, a sandwich, and two cookies.
Oh, okay. I think they would love the cookie story, eh?
Always a winner.
But you're more than just a after school teacher. You got a kid in kindergarten as well, and I've just been told yesterday that it's kindergarten with a T and not a D, so it was also a new one for me. Um,
Yeah.
all right, a kid in kindergarten. How does kindergarten work? I've got not the faintest idea what it's all about.
So kindergarten here is there's also two options. So if your child is under 3 years old, you pay the full amount for kindergarten. Um, that depends. You can also choose whether or not you want to take your child for only 2 days or a full week, and you will pay accordingly. So a
Okay,
full week will, yeah.
no, sorry, go on. Sorry.
uh, A full week will roughly be $250 for under 3 years old. Um, but for example, 2 days will only be $121 for that. Well, that's the school where my son is in. And then you
Okay.
get the ECE hours, the 23 hours. But not all ECE centers gives you that option. So you need to choose a center that gives you the option for 20 ECE free hours. So then it
What
takes you
what does the 20 ECE hours mean?
the 20 ECE center hours. It just basically means that the state wants you to have your child in kindergarten so he gets exposure to school. So they are willing to pay you or to give you 3 hours to take your child to a school to get that experience. So
Okay, that's not something that you need to apply for. Is that how do I get the 20 hours free?
well, some kindergartens, they already have that. So if you enroll your child there, you automatically enroll your child with the 20 ECE free hours. But I am sure that at other schools you can apply because I've seen the application forms
Hmm.
online
Okay.
for the 20 ECE hours.
What food does your kid get at after school? Oh, sorry, at preschool
Oh,
or
well, they get
kindergarten?
not all, I should say this, not all kindergartens provide the food. There are those that you have to pack your child's own food. So I'm lucky enough, my child's in a kindergarten where he gets everything. So in the mornings, they get either like toast and fruit, or they get wheat picks or porridge or whatever they have on the menu for that day. And then they get lunch, which is usually a hot meal. So I know, for example, yesterday they had tuna bake, and it's funny enough, my son will eat chicken curry at school, but he won't eat it at home. Um, and then in the afternoons, afternoon tea, they get also fruits and a biscuit or something to eat.
All right, all right. I've got one question from Marlies Spannenberg asking, up to what age do children go to before or and after school? She says she's got a daughter of 11 and a son of 7. So at the after school, do you guys take high school kids as well and so on?
No, we do not take high school kids. I think we only take children from 5 years old until 12 years old.
Okay, okay. But I mean, there must probably be a after school for high school kids as well somewhere.
I'm sure there will be something. Yeah.
I think so. Um, a question, I don't know if you will know the answer of this, but this is something that a lot of people ask me often. And you know, my kid, being 22 years old, is not in school anymore. They do ask me, how does school zones work?
It's exactly the same as in South Africa. So, if, for example, if I live in Bethlehem, I can enroll my child in any school that's close by. So it's exactly the same as the school zones in South Africa. So if you work in a certain zone, you can enroll your child in that zone. But let's say, for like I said, if I stay in Bethlehem, I can enroll my child in a school that is in this area.
Okay, but can I enroll the kid? Let's say I live in Bethlehem. Can I enroll them in Papa Ma College?
You can, but then you go on a waiting list.
So it's not a must. So if I'm in Bethlehem and I enroll in a school in Bethlehem, they must take my kid.
Yeah, because you're in that
Okay,
zone.
okay, that makes
Yes.
sense. Anel van Schalkwyk wants to know, how old is your child? I'll leave that to you.
Oh, my son is 2 years old.
And he's a handful. Um,
And he's a hand.
Cara de Klerk asks you, what if you can't find a house in the school zone, or you can't find a house in the house, but the school is full? But they must take you even if the school is full. So that's not a problem.
Yeah, if they are full, they will usually recommend you to another school in that zone, or they will put you on a waiting list. But usually, they must take you if you're in that zone.
Okay, and roughly how many questions? It's not really into your field, but how many pupils is there to a teacher? Do you know that probably?
I think for primary school, I think it's a roughly about 20 kids per teacher. The classes aren't very big, 20 or less actually. And then for kindergarten, it's 14 kids. And then there's usually, well, at my son's school, there's usually between 14 and 18 kids on roll for their class. And then there's 3 teachers.
Okay, 3 teachers for 14 kids. Oh, that's
Yeah.
not that's a good ratio actually. Yeah. What
Yeah.
else do you want to tell us about schools and aftercare and that type of things?
Well, I know a lot of parents are concerned about the transitioning over from South Africa to New Zealand. So, actually, when my son started kindergarten here, they made a list of South African words, and or they asked the lady that works there that's South African, so she wrote them a list of Afrikaans words, basic words that they can use to communicate with my son so he can understand them. And they slowly but surely replaced those words with English words, and now he understands more English than Afrikaans.
So one of these days, if I come to visit you guys, I need to speak in English actually. So I'll have to work on my English as well. There was a question a question here about assessing kids. So if my kid come from South Africa and he's at a certain age, how will they know in New Zealand to which how can I say which year to send them?
It's very basic. So if your child is in, let's say, grade 1 in South Africa, they will put him in year 2 in New Zealand. So grade
Okay.
R, grade R in South Africa is year 1 in New Zealand. So you can work out in which grade they or which year they will put your child. So just add one number to your current grade.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to take a step back to the kindergarten. I was at one or two of these kindergartens already. Just had a look there, and it's really what I saw there was really fantastic. It's absolutely wonderful areas. How does that compare to the South African kindergarten? I've never been into a South African kindergarten, or the ones I remember is about 20 years ago. So,
Yeah, so they believe in open teaching here. So what that means is they will not force a child to, let's say, like in South Africa, if one paints, everyone will paint or everyone will do one activity. Here they give the child a little bit more freedom. So the paint usually is there's paint and there's also 3 or 4 other activities, and they can choose which activity they want to do. Um, and then, funny enough, if you enroll your child, they give you a list with things that you want your child to learn more in. So, for example, we chose communication and numbers. So they work on those specific things with your child. So they will include him in activities where they specifically work on numbers or they specifically work on communication. And
okay,
then the playgrounds here is much nicer, I would say, because there's more things for them to do. So there is things they can climb on, and it's not only the normal playground stuff that we are so used to in South Africa.
yeah, I got to say the kindergartens I saw actually was saw one in Hamilton. We were on a building on the other side of this kindergarten. It was absolutely wow. I mean, they even had a rooster, a chicken walking around there amongst the kids, and they were playing. And it's absolutely, it's really, really nice. I thought, geez, if I was a kid, I would have loved to be in that one. A
Yeah.
small question that came up now was, what do the kids do while the teachers are striking? I know we've got this violent strike here that they just burning air. No, I'm just joking. We got teachers striking. What happens to the kids here when the teachers are striking?
So the schools, so they all the schools will not strike at once. They strike in zones. It's fun enough.
Mm-hmm.
So um, if the teachers are striking in Bethlehem, the schools will close for that day. But then what's nice is the aftercare centers are then open for the entire day, and you can enroll your child there for the day.
Oh wow, okay. Yeah, I got to say that the strikes here is nothing to what we are used to. It's very, very organized. Actually, they wear these high visibility vests and they go and stand there with their little placards, and that's as about as violent as they become here. So, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a bit of a different thing that. Um, I want to see what else did I want to ask you here. Oh, the cost of aftercare. What does that cost?
So the aftercare, you pay per session, so per afternoon, and that is
Mm-hmm.
$19 per afternoon if you take a full week. If you are on casual terms, so that means you can come whenever you want, that is $21 a session. That is for after
Oh, okay.
school. Before school, if you choose the option where you get your breakfast at aftercare, it's $12 a morning.
All right. two interesting questions down here. It's Anel asked, how strict are kindergartens when it comes to fevers, runny nose, administering meds, etc.
They are quite strict. They will not, it's difficult. They will not send your child home just because he has a runny nose or because he's coughing, or that stuff that all kids, it happens. But for example, if they have diarrhea or stuff like that, they will send your child home, and their policy is that after his last session, it has to be 48 hours before you can take him back to kindergarten.
Okay. And do they also carry heavy school bags like primary school kids in South Africa or not?
No, because they don't change classes, or primary school children don't change classes. They are in one class the entire day, and that the specific teacher teaches them everything, so their books and everything stay in class. So they just usually have a small bag with their jerseys and maybe something in their food or something.
All right, the food and so on. Yeah. So what else is interesting in your line of field that you need to tell the people back home?
Well, I know like a lot of kindergartens in South Africa, they will have a television or something available in the classes. Here, there's no such thing. They don't watch TV at all in kindergarten, not even in the afternoons just before you pick them up. It's just something that doesn't happen. And then, so, sorry, my son's awake. And yeah, they're very good with the kids. They work well with the kids, and yeah, they just so good.
Listen, Danica, I think it's time to love and leave you, and yeah. I know you got to start tending the kids now. I mean, as hubby will also be up soon.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for popping on this morning. And as soon as you deployed back from aftercare to another school, we will get you back on to ask you a lot of other questions there as well.
Yeah, that's more than welcome.
Okay, thanks a lot. Hey. Guys, that was Danica. That was Danica from, she's in Bethlehem currently. She is a kindergarten, or she's got a kid in kindergarten. She's not a kindergarten teacher. She's at after school, and her kid has just woken up, so she's quite a handful, I know, and it's time for them to get up and go off to school this morning. So let's see if there's any other smaller questions here. Something else that actually happens in New Zealand is that high school kids doesn't really get homework to take home to, as you know, that they do in South Africa. So basically they try to get everything done at school, and then home time is home time for them, and they have their own thing that side to do. So they don't want the kids to be stuck with homework still while at home. This country is very much orientated around the family, and whatever happens to the family is very important to the companies down here. So if you need to take a sick day just because your kid is very, very sick, I don't think there's going to be that much a big problem here. You'll also see a lot of your money, that your tax money goes towards kids and keeping them safe and getting them the best care that they do have there. Juanita says I do get homework at high school. Sorry, I was told that they don't get homework at high school, and I actually thought, geez, that could be so much fun for me, and I'm just a bit late for it. So I would have loved to have a school where you had no homework. We normally had a homework and then a good hiding afterwards in the good old days. I don't know if you guys remember that. People have parental leave for sick kids. That comes from Benita. So, guys, one thing you got to remember about New Zealand, they look after their people. They look after the taxpayers, the well-being of the kids, the well-being of the parents. That's very important to them. So there's a lot of I would say things in the news the past few days about people that have lived in a tent somewhere and so on. that was one incident, but on average, people are really well looked after in this country. Carla de Klerk, how many days average year? I don't understand your question, but if you're asking about kindergarten, it's 5 days a week, and as well as the after schools, also 5 days a week. Guys, the next session that we'll try and do is bringing a teacher from either a medium school or I don't know what law school, and then we'll try and bring a teacher from high school as well on here to give you a bit of a better idea of what schools are all about on this. Guys, it's about 3 minutes before the time, but let me quickly tell you again who I am. My name is Jan Viljoen. This is from Welcome Bay in Tauranga, North Island of New Zealand, and it's that time of the morning. It's time for me to say love you and leave you. Stay safe in South Africa, and thanks for listening this morning.